Hey there, for today's lesson we're looking at volume of prisms and cylinders. So the volume of a prism, V, or cylinder, is the area of the base times the height. Okay? So you have to be able to know the area of an object and then multiply it by the height. So a couple quick things before we begin, just as a reminder. If I'm talking about a rectangle, then my area is going to be perhaps my length times my width, right, to find the area there. I'm talking about a triangle. Well, here's my length times width. The area of a triangle is 1/2 of the base times the height. Base times the height, or the length times the width. If I'm talking about a circle, the area of a circle, this is my radius, is pi r squared. So those are going to be the three common bases you're going to work with today when we're talking about the big base for the prism. Okay? Whether it be a cylinder or a prism or triangular prism, we're going to be using this part as the B, the big B. So when it says find the volume of a rectangular prism, the first thing I want to look about is think about the volume is the base, which is this part here, the base, right, that area, times how tall it is there. Well, the area of that base is going to be length times width, 8 times 5, which is 40. So I know I have an area here of 40 for that surface there. Now I'm going to multiply that surface by how tall it is by 40 for a total of 160. Now when you're doing volume, you end up with centimeters cubed because it's to the first, to the first, to the first. We add those up and we get to the third power. Okay? So volume is going to be the area of the base times the overall height. In this case here, you could think about it as being the length times the width, which is the base, times the overall height. All those numbers together still come up to be 160. So depending on how you want to group it, right, this is your overall base times the height, just how you see those numbers working together. When I look at a cylinder, the same thing is true here. The volume of a cylinder is going to be the area of the base, so let's say the circle part here, times the height. Well, the area of a circle is pi r squared. They gave us the radius of pi, so we can say that's about 3.14. The radius is 5, so 5 squared is 25. Okay, and then we're going to multiply that by how tall it is, the height, times the height, which is 25 as well. So this becomes a definite calculator type of problem. So I'm going to do 3.14 times 25. So this first part here, the area part, here to here, is 78.5. And I'm going to multiply that by the height, times 25. And I have 1,962.5 cubic feet. Right about there is what I got there. Theirs might be a little bit different, but it gets you the same idea. It depends on what you use for pi. That pi value is going to affect your answer here. A lot of times when we're doing these problems on test, we tell you to leave it in terms of pi, which would mean all you would do is 25 times 25, and we would say 625 pi, and in this case here it's feet cubed. So that becomes one answer. If they wanted you to work it out, that becomes another answer. Both are fine, depends on what they're asking for. This is what we call in terms of pi. Alright, let's look at a couple more examples real quick before we turn you loose. So first I have the area of the base, which is 9 by 2. So the area of the base is 18, and the height is 6. So 18 times 6 gives me a total of 108 inches cubed. Over here, we have the area of the base, which is pi times the radius squared, times the height, which is 12. So we have pi times 16 times 12. If I left it in terms of pi, I would just simply say 192 pi. If you multiply that out, you do 182 times, if you did 3.14, you'd end up with 602.88. Okay, both would be okay, and again, meters cubed. Let's look at one of the triangular prisms real quick. here we have our base right there. Okay, so we have our leg, we have our height there. So the area of that base is 1/2 of the base times the height. Okay, so we're going to have 55 times 1/2. So we end up with 27.5 is the area of the base. Multiplying that times the height, which is 10, and we end up with 275 yards cubed. Okay, so be careful that you get the right area there as well. Okay, so similar ones down here, same idea. Again, remember the height for a triangle is whatever comes off of that 90 degree. Okay, that's the height. That's your height for a triangle there, where you're finding the area of that triangle to start with. Okay, so that's a little some instruction. Go ahead and do your odd problems, and then we'll come back and check them together in just a few minutes. All right, finding the volumes here. So for the first one, we have a triangular prism. So we're going to find the area of the triangle first of all. So that's going to be 1/2 of the base, which is 5, times the height, which is 7. And then we're going to multiply all that by the height, or the length here, of the whole triangular prism, which is 9. So I have 1/2 times 5 times 7, that's my triangular base, times the overall height. Again, because we're going to multiply it together, it doesn't make too much of a difference, so I'll do 0.5 times 5 times 7 times 9, and we get 157.5, and this will be meters cubed. It'd been nice if they had some even numbers, but they didn't, so it's just what you got. The next one, we have here a triangle with the height there, so that's our base. So our base of the triangle is going to be the whole thing, 6.3, times a height of 4, and then we're going to multiply that by the height of the triangular prism, which is 10. Okay, so 1/2 of 4 is going to be 2. That's nice there. So 2 times 6.3 gives me right here for this part, the area of the triangle is 12.6. And we're going to multiply that by the height, so we end up with 126 centimeters cubed. All right, number 5. The tricky part here is they gave you the diameter, not the radius, so the radius is actually going to be 1/2 of that, so it's 6. Keep that in mind. So we're going to say it's pi times the radius squared times the height of the cylinder, which is 10.5. Okay, so we have pi 36, 10.5, those are my numbers. If I leave it in terms of pi, I'd say 36 times 10.5, and we have 378 pi is an acceptable answer. If you multiply it by 3.14, you would end up with 1186.92, and again, this is I don't know, miles, milliliters, I don't know, it looks like miles cubed. I'm not sure why you'd have miles there, but whatever. All right, number 7, rectangular prism, base of 6, width of 4, height of 13. So we're going to do 6 times 4 times 13. Put that all together for your volume, 6 times 4 times 13, and we get 312 inches cubed. Number 9, another rectangular prism, base of 3.6, 4, and a height of 15.5. So it's 3.6 times 4 times 15.5. So it's a series of multiplication problems. 3.6 times 4 equals 14.4 times 15.5 equals 223.2 millimeters cubed. Number 11, we have a cylinder with a diameter of 8, which means it has a radius of 4 and a height of 16.2. So we do pi times 4 squared times the height of 16.2. So this becomes 16 times 16.2, which is 259.2 pi meters cubed. Again, you can multiply that out by 3.12, or 3.14, sorry, and have 813.888 meters cubed as well as a solution. That would work out just as fine. For our last one, we have a composite figure, which means we have two shapes here. So we have the cylinder, but we really have half of a cylinder right here, and we have this rectangular prism right there as well. So first of all, for the prism, I have 6 times 12 for my base times the overall height, which is 5. So that first part is 6 times 12 times 5 equals 360. So this rectangular prism has a volume of 360 meters cubed. Now for this part right here, looks like it has a radius of 3, so that's going to be pi times a radius squared times the overall height, which is going to be this length here, which is still 12, but I'm only going to do half of it, so I'll multiply that by a half. Now my radius is 3, so I'm going to say 3 squared, so I have pi times 9 times 12 times half of that. That becomes 6. 6 times 9 is 54, so I have 54 pi. Okay, so that's going to be combined there. So let's do 54 times 3.14, which is 169.56. Now if I combine those together, plus 360, my total area is, or volume is 529.56 meters cubed. And that's because I'm going to combine the rectangular prism with the half a cylinder there to get that number there. This is a very typical volume problem at this level, okay? So that's the idea. Hope that helps you out, and we'll see you for the next lesson.